If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at nanice.com. Thank you.
It's your time for Chai with Nanice. Get ready for substance, clarity, change, and especially empowerment. Get ready to turn over stones, uncover stories, and get to the heart of the matter in every area of your life. Any mood runs, any emotion flies, and your dreams are within your grasp. There are no limits or boundaries, and your comfort zone is out of reach, yet it's the safest place you will ever be. Come in, sit down, and have some chai with Nanice.
Welcome to Chai with Nanice. I'm Nanice. I've actually known my destiny and my path for many, many years. But no matter what I did to try to move forward on my path and fulfill what I believed to be my destiny, something always got in my way. It seemed that I was always taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back and never really getting anything. One of my best friends and I would have conversations quite often about this and tried to figure out what it was that was stopping me from moving forward on my path. And neither one of us could figure it out. And these conversations went on for years. Then one day, I had a divine experience, and during this experience, I understood that the thing that was missing was that I hadn't chosen it. I had not chosen it. I hadn't chosen myself for it. I was waiting for the world or someone else to see me as worthy for the path that I wanted to live and create. And so nothing was happening. And to this divine experience, I realized that no one could choose me, that I had to choose myself. And when I finally got that, that's exactly what I did. I chose myself. Not just for my path, but I chose myself to live my life. And as soon as I did, everything changed. Things started magically happening, and suddenly, 2 steps forward would equal 10 steps forward and more, simply because I chose. Today's show is about choosing life and taking control of your destiny. I'm so excited that my guest today is the famous Alan Cohen. Alan Cohen, M.A., is the author of 22 popular inspirational books and CDs, including the best-selling The Dragon Doesn't Live Here Anymore, the award-winning A Deep Breath of Life, and the classic Are You As Happy As Your Dog? He is a contributing writer for the New York Times #1 best-selling series, Chicken Soup for the Soul, and his books have been translated into 24 foreign languages. His work has been featured on Oprah.com and in USA Today, The Washington Post, and 101 Top Experts. Alan's radio program, Get Real, is broadcast weekly on Hay House Radio, and his monthly column, Forum from the Heart, is featured in magazines internationally. And I should mention that Alan is also the author of my most favorite book, and that is I Had It All the Time. In fact, this is when I first came across Alan, and it's an amazing book, as well as all his other books. So, hi, Alan. Thank you for having chai with me and joining me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I've been really excited about this. This is the first time you and I are having a conversation and connecting, and you have made such a difference in my life and so many people that I know. Your book, I Had It All the Time, is the book that I have recommended most to people for many, many years. Many years. And I love your other books, too, all of them. And I just read Lyndon's Last Life, which was exceptional, extraordinary. Yeah. Thank you. So, when you talk about choosing life and taking control of your destiny, what does that mean to you?
It means to withdraw your tentacles from all the people and events and things outside you that you believe have control over you, whether it's your parents or your spouse or the government or Mercury in retrograde or 2012 or men out there. It means realizing that everything that happens to you is because of you and no one and nothing else.
Yeah. There's a lot of people hear that and they think, but, they've got like all these excuses like, I don't have any money or I don't have an education or, I can't control the economy. What do you say when people Bring those
Well,
things
you
up.
can't control well, yes and no. You can't control the economy at large, but you can control your reaction to it. And actually, the truth is that I know people who have been prospering over the past couple of years as not, and that's because they are living in a prosperity consciousness, and they attract unto themselves according to their own consciousness rather than what the newspaper says. Can I tell you a short story that I think you and your listeners will enjoy?
Yes.
Well, I have a friend in L.A. Who is becoming a motivational speaker, and she got together with 5 other people, and they decided to present an evening event. And they decided they would each get 10 people to come, and that would be the seminar. Well, a week before the seminar, they checked in, and my friend had 20 people, and all the other 5 people had 5 altogether. And they said, it's Mercury in retrograde, and the economy sucks. And they told her, your fear is what's keeping more people from showing up. And she said, what do I say to them? I said, well, if Mercury and the economy and my fear is so powerful, how come I got 20 and all you guys got 5? And by the time the event came around, she had 50 people, and they had 10. And she said, what do you suggest? I said, next time do the event by yourself, because you're the prime mover behind it.
Right.
And so the idea being that, they had all kinds of excuses and rationalizations for why it didn't happen. And meanwhile, the real factor was her intention, willingness, and motivation. And I would say that our listeners have that kind of intention, willingness, and motivation for anything. They can do anything they want independent of what anybody else is doing.
Yeah. What does intention look like to you? Because a lot of times people think that I do have intention, but they maybe don't.
Well, it's how it feels. Intention, someone said that 99% is hard, but 100% is easy. In other words, if you have any resistance or fear or upset about stuff, it kind of muddles the frequency. But if you just throw yourself in whole heart and say, I'm doing this, I don't care what, all of a sudden things line up in your favor. So it's a wonderful, it's almost like something is happening through you instead of you having to make it happen. Like when I write my books or do seminars, I really feel like I'm being moved by a higher power rather than some little ego trying to create something. So that's some of what it feels like to me. How about you? What does it? What does intention feel like when it moves through you, Nanice?
Yeah. It's a choice. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's the choice. So it's like that I can think that I have an intention, but if I haven't 100% chosen it, then it's really it's not working. I really don't have the intention. But as soon as I've decided that whatever it is, I'm going to do this, or whatever that intention is, I choose it, and then there's no turning back. There's no failure, because when I've chosen something, it's as good as done. That I won't stop until it's created, no matter how long or what it takes. And in that choice, it's like my experience is connecting, with divine source, surrendering my human ego having to do it, and this divine force, like you said, just it works through me. And it's interesting you said that about your books, because I've written 7 books, and every single one has been just like that. And I've written books 100-page books in 2 days because something worked through me. Yeah, that's it. I think it's the answer for everything.
It's easy. It's like not that stuff doesn't come up, but if it's a struggle and you're having a fight with yourself or fight with other people, it's not it. It should be something that should be so big that the joy of doing it far outweighs any challenge or hassle that may come up in its presence.
Right. And don't you think that when you really intend something, you really choose it, that the whole concept of challenge disappears? Like it's really not a challenge. It becomes more of an opportunity.
Like mosquito bites. It's like stuff comes up. I mean, you may have something that doesn't go right or something doesn't cooperate. But really, when your vision is so big, all that stuff is relatively inconsequential, and you're not put off by it.
Yeah, I agree. I recently started a spiritual coaching school for women. It's called Echo Coaching Institute. And, I thought about it for a few months. I was inspired to do it, and then suddenly it just fell in place, and nothing happened until I chose it. And I really chose it. And I'll tell you, I never created a school before, so I really had no clue. And because I chose it, things just started falling in place, and people all over the world started applying, and it was just this amazing experience. And there have been some challenges, quote unquote, along the way. But instead of giving into the challenges, I just, saw it as an opportunity for me to grow, both, individually, spiritually, emotionally, and grow the school. And so every challenge has really been an opportunity to make it to a higher level of accomplishing that dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a cool way of reframing the idea of challenge, and that's that if something comes up outside you that seems to stop you, you have to look at what's inside you that may be stopping you. So someone says, oh, I don't think that'll fly. I don't think the economy will support it. And you go home and you feel deflated. And then you have to look inside yourself and see that part of you agrees with that person.
Yes.
And so you have to face the part of you that fears that the economy won't support you. And if you can realize that there's nobody out there who's doing it to you, and any challenge they give you is really a gift that motivates you to face your inner fears or resistance or upset, and you grow beyond it, then they've really served you. So, what does not kill me cures me.
Yeah.
You're stronger.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. The way that I usually describe it is that whatever's happening out in the world is simply a reflection of our subconscious mind. And the purpose of life in this context is simply to show us what's going on inside of us. So if somebody, is mean to us or criticizes us or, whatever they do, good, bad, in between, that it's really just showing us what's happening on our subconscious levels. Otherwise, we wouldn't know. Like dreams at night, dreams tell us what's happening. So does life, and that's really the purpose of life in this context.
Well, you can always tell what you believe by what you're getting, and there's no slippage in that system. I had a woman in one of my seminars who said, I really want my soulmate. I can't wait to find my soul. And she went on and on. So I said, tell me about men. She said, all men are such jerks. She said, all he wanted sex, and one guy took me out and he wanted me to pay. Another guy was too hairy. Another guy was going on and on. Yeah. And she had all these really negative judgments about men. So a part of her was saying, I want my soulmate, and she did. Yeah. But the much larger part was saying, oh, men are jerks, and on and on. And so I had to work with her to see that her own beliefs about men were what were keeping her soulmate at bay, not availability. So there's plenty of good guys out there, but she had to become a vibrational match to them, and that was the process of our coaching. Yeah. Yeah. Did she reach that vibrational match eventually? Well, she improved. I didn't see her after that. It was a one-weekend seminar, but she definitely made progress during that weekend, and she definitely felt more open. So I assume that she went on to more success. Yeah. 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 I think this karma has a lot of definitions, and I look at karma very similar to this, that really karma is what's inside of you. It's the energetic imprint that you hold on to, and you project it out into the world. So, it's like... Yeah. I think of karma more as thoughts and attitudes than in actions, because no matter what your karma is, you can change it with one new thought. So that karma really lives inside you more than around you. Mm. Yeah, inside you energetically, and then it reflects outside of you. Would you say that's closer to your view? Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, and that's the good news, because then we do have control over it. So that not only is the economy and other people not controlling us, now karma is not even controlling us. Well, people in the New Age, New Thought movement have really bandied the term about karma and reincarnation, and people blame everything on karma and reincarnation. Like, I got a crappy husband because I was a bitch in 1773 or something like that. And, maybe, but wouldn't it be more powerful to say, okay, I'm in a difficult situation now. What kind of shift could I create in my consciousness at this moment to improve my marriage? And maybe it's to go deeper. Maybe it's to get divorced. I don't know. But why not just take the situation by the horns and say, okay, whatever it was in 1793, if it's here again, this is my golden opportunity to reprogram it and transform it. And then your whole karma shifts because your consciousness has changed in a given moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's becoming conscious and then making a new choice. And I see a lot of that
in forgiveness. So it's like as long as we're holding on to it, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, that it stays there. It stays and in the subconscious it's reflected out. But when we go through a process of forgiveness, which to me forgiveness is simply, it's giving back. It's letting go of beliefs and stories and, stories like, oh, I did something wrong, all that, whatever it might be, and giving it back. And giving it back literally is giving back to the divine, and then it's completely evaporates. It's gone.
Very well said. It's the same thing. It's kind of like forgiveness is being willing to question how right you want to be about what's wrong. Usually when we refuse to forgive somebody, we're really right about what they did that was wrong. Right. And even if what they did is sort of wrong on black and white and black and white on paper, the very fact that you're holding that over them or projecting it onto them keeps that painful situation in force. But when you're willing to reframe the situation and say, well, okay, maybe that happened, but maybe there's another way of looking at this that can empower me and them, all of a sudden the thing shifts and they become your ally rather than your enemy.
Yes. Yeah. I recently read that healing is really just a reinterpretation of the past.
Very nice.
Yeah, I like that. Yes. I like that.
Someone said your past isn't what it used to be. Because you're looking at... I have a good take on this, which I think your listeners will like. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you a very sweet story. I had a buddy in high school named George, and we used to walk to school every day together. Mm-hmm. And one day in our senior year, I just very casually reached around and put my arm around him just in a friendly way. Well, he didn't like this, and he threw my arm off my shoulder, and that was the end of the interaction. Mm-hmm. And, it was kind of an awkward moment. None of us said anything, but, we just went on with our lives. And the weirdest thing was that over many, many years, whenever I thought of George, I thought of an awkward moment. Mm-hmm. Well, over 30 years later, I got a call in my office, and my secretary said, George Ringel called, and he said he really misses you, and he wishes he could walk to school with you again.
Wow.
And so I got together with him when we were in New York, and we laughed and talked about old times. And I said, you're going to think this is kind of crazy, but this one weird memory is stuck in my mind. I told him about that morning.
Yeah.
And he said, Alan, he says, I don't remember that at all. He says, all I remember is that you used to wait for me every morning, even in the rain.
Wow.
And so my idea of my plan was completely off base.
Yeah.
And his was one of complete love and appreciation. So I thought, wow, what we think is our past is pretty much what we interpret to be our past, not what it actually was. I mean, we've had millions of events that could be our past, but we may choose on a small amount of them to be what we consider our past. If we focused on different events and decided that was our past, then it would empower us to be more of what we want to be instead of what we don't want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, choosing our memories, choosing what we focus on, and the mind doesn't know the difference between a real and imagined anyway. So, even if you had not found that out, you could have convinced your mind of a different story and then had different feelings. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the mind is not real intelligent. I know it's kind of weird to say, but what we call the mind is really just sort of programming running off. And I'm a student of Course in Miracles, and Course in Miracles says only the creations of light are real, and only your loving thoughts are true. So if you have 10,000 weird thoughts in a day and 3 loving thoughts, you might say that your 3 loving thoughts are the only thoughts that have any real power.
Yes.
So when you're working with your mind, it's important not to give it any more power than it deserves, because what you think are your creative thoughts are really not your creative thoughts. So the mind can indeed be reprogrammed. I know you do hypnotherapy, and it's very important to convince your subconscious of things you want to work rather than things that don't work.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People believe their thoughts, and they believe their beliefs, and I think that contributes to a lot of unhappiness. So many years ago, I realized that none of my beliefs were true, and none of my thoughts were true. And then I decided that I would pick the thoughts that I wanted and the beliefs that I wanted that would support the life that I wanted. And everything changed. Yeah. And I know that I have an unsupportive thought or belief when I don't feel good about something. So it's like I believe that one of the purposes of the emotions is to actually tell us when something's wrong. Just like if you drop, a hammer on your toe and your toe hurts, it tells you something's wrong, this pain. And so it's the same thing when we have painful emotions. It's telling us that something's wrong, and that something is our interpretation of something that's happened. It's our beliefs, it's our thoughts, and so let's pick ones. Let's literally be conscious and pick ones. They say that our personalities are developed before we're 5 years old, and that has a lot to do with beliefs. That we've already have a whole set of beliefs in place that are based on information that we have received before we're even school age. And I don't know about you, Helen, but I know that I definitely did not have the capacity to choose my beliefs before I was 5 years old. And then we spend the whole rest of our lives looking for evidence that those beliefs are true and right. And like you brilliantly said before, it's like we find out in the world whatever it is that we believe inside of us. So it's just reinforced. And I think that waking up and becoming conscious really means taking ownerships of our thoughts, our beliefs, and our emotions, and making different choices and creating new thoughts and new beliefs that support what we want and make us feel good, right?
Well, you're right. As a child, you don't have a lot of choice about what you hear and learn. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us have got some crummy programming, but so that means nothing. Maybe some of your listeners are students of Abraham Hicks. Mm-hmm. Someone said to Abraham, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And Abraham said, you have no idea what an old dog you are. Meaning that who you really are as a spiritual being runs far deeper and has so much more power than whatever happened to you in your first 5 years. Right. That you, as a spiritual being, have the power to reprogram your own life at any point, and it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of us are going about the business of questioning what we've been told and asking our higher self, is this true or is it not? And if it's not true, we let it go, and if it is true, we accept it. So it's a bold path we're on. We are on the path of becoming who we really are in spite of who we've been told we are. And that's huge because if you keep watching the news and listening to gossip, you will still think you're small. But if you hang out with people like you and people like, that you have on your show, then, it's like, okay, I have a new life ahead of me. Thank you very much.
Right. Really. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The new life is what you choose it to be, and you have to choose it, and the way that you choose it is by getting everything in alignment, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions that follow your thoughts and beliefs, and the actions that you take.
That's my definition of integrity. I have a very simple definition of integrity, and that's that when you're in integrity when the life you're living on the outside matches who you are on the inside. And I truly believe, Nanice, that all pain comes from the disparity between who we are and how we're living. And I have a friend who's going to be on my radio show next week. His name is Dave Wingert, and he's a very dear man. And he's a gay man, and he's, of all my gay friends, he's probably the most at peace with his sexuality of anybody I know. And it's a wonderful thing because he's not apologizing for it, he's not hiding it. And he's also not flaunting it. It's just like, well, this is who I am, and if you don't, that's okay too. And so I think each of us needs to come to peace with who we are, whether it's gay or straight or spiritual. It matters not. As long as you're at peace with who you are, then your life is powerful.
Right. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I've noticed in working with people for many years all over the world. I've been coaching people, and when we get right down to it, the biggest fear that I have discovered is this fear of unworthiness. And, and exploring the unworthiness, the next thing is, what happens if you discover yourself to really be unworthy? And then the next thing that they usually say, and then I'll be alone. And then what happens? Well, then I'll disappear. I will no longer exist. And so what I've noticed is this fear, this series of unworthiness and aloneness and disappearing, that this is often at the core of people's greatest fears and really is what's responsible for stopping them a lot in their life. What do you think about that?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And what most people don't realize is that when you're in fear of being unworthy, you've already lost as much as you would if you were unworthy. In other words, that fear shuts you down, it separates you, it makes you feel bad, it cuts off your joy, it cuts off your relationships. So if you're in that mode, you've already lost. But the truth is that if you were really to look at yourself and sit down and look in the mirror, go into meditation or lay on a hunk of grass and look at the sky and ask, who am I really, and am I really unworthy?
Right.
You would laugh at thoughts of unworthiness. In fact, I went through a bout of unworthiness years ago. I was studying with a master teacher named Hilda Charlton. And one week I just had this sort of self-facing bout of looking in and thinking I was a phony. So I decided to make a public confession. And I stood on stage in front of about 300 people at this large class, and I said, I'm a phony. I don't always tell the truth, and I don't look people in the eye, and I hide out, and sometimes I'll cross the street to not see somebody I don't want to talk to. And I made a list of my sins. And after I sat down, Hilda took the microphone. She said, Alan's right. He really is a phony. She said, but he's not a phony in the way he thinks he is. She said, he's a phony because he thinks that he's all his problems and all the things he judges himself for. He forgot that he's really a perfect child of God, and if he remembered who he really was, there would be no way he'd berate himself for these little things.
Right.
So she totally reframed my hit on it, and I realized that my phoniness was assuming an identity smaller than I really am. And I'll tell you, that cured me. I never went down that road again. And I think if we could all get to the place where we realize that who we are is absolutely brilliant, and this other stuff is just distraction, wow, would our lives take off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's designed that way to be a distraction, so that we don't move out of our comfort zones. So it's perfectly designed, and yet we have another choice. It's an old program, and that program is ending collectively. So, one of the things that I've been doing for many years is like when somebody comes to me and whatever their like deepest, darkest fear is that they're like don't even want to look at, that they don't want to, have any awareness of, that's where I go with them. So I sit down with them and I create a safe space, and it can be very scary, as you can imagine. And I assist them in dropping down into their worst fear and seeing what happens. An example of this, I had a friend who I went to Peru with a few months ago, and we were in the Amazon. Some scary stuff happened, and some of her fears came up, and one of those fears was of being raped. She's had this fear for many, many years, and something happened to bring this up, obviously. She was not raped, but something made her fall back into those feelings. So I sat down and I talked with her, and I asked her, well, let's say that really happened, what would that be like, and what would happen then? And first she didn't want to go there because she didn't want to experience the feelings that it was bringing up. But of course, whenever we avoid something, we're really experiencing the very feelings that we don't want to have. So she went into the space, and it was very uncomfortable. But and then she's like, well, my life would be over, and and she got to the fear, oh, my life would be over, I wouldn't be able to function. And then I kept bringing her through, and then, well, I brought her into the future, and I said, well, but about 5 years, what would happen in 5 years? And she really looked inside, and then she looked up with her eyes all beak with like a new light of awareness, and she said, I would be fine. I would take the experience, and not only would I empower me, I would use it to empower all women. And so once she got there, it was like, what's there to be afraid of? And this is what I noticed with worthiness too. It's like if somebody fears being unworthiness, let's just drop down there and see what it is. And always what's on the other side of it, always is, it just disappears. All the pressure is off. The pressure of like who you think you have to be in life. It's off. It's done. Right. Now you can just be.
Well, you're making a lot of good points, and I think a lot of the ways that we escape from our fear or guilt, a sense of unworthiness, is busyness. And I realize that we're talking perhaps to people in L.A., which is a major area of distraction. Yeah. I mean, every place is really in its own way. Yeah. But, there's a lot of people in big cities who are busy. And I have a friend who's like that, and she's a lovely person. but her day is a string of unfinished errands and emergencies and dramas and fire putting outs and running into town and going.
Right.
And as I got to know her, she was raised Catholic, and she was made to feel guilty. And so pretty much everything that happens that goes wrong in her world, even if it's somebody else, she feels like it's her fault. And so basically she spent her life running from guilt. And if she stopped, I mean, I just want to kind of shake her and say, sit down for a minute, would you? And just say, just take a few breaths and put your hand on your heart and feel who you are and find some love in there for you. If she would actually face herself, she would recognize that she is not this guilty, horrible, evil monster that she's running from, but she's actually a wonderful person. All these guilt thoughts are just programs. So if you're busy running, you cannot discover who you really are. You have to stop and take some moments in silence and face yourself. And that's what you do with your friend in your own way, and it really worked. So it was a wonderful process.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what I've discovered is that people are not really afraid of what might happen. They're afraid of what they might feel by what happens. And, you know, it's really interesting to me because I believe the emotions to be the gateway to the self. So it's like, there's so many people on this planet today, and they're like, they want to connect with their higher power, and, you know, and many people are learning that's inside, you know, oh, we connect inside. So the next question should be, well, how do I get inside? And, you know, certainly we can, you know, go meditate on a mountain or, you know, whatever. But there's a natural way that's available to everyone, and it's through the emotions. I believe that the emotions really is the river that leads us inside of ourselves, and that if we can let go and just allow ourselves to feel our emotions, not only do they process through us and heal whatever it was that actually, you know, facilitated them, but it brings us into our core, our center, where we're connected to the divine. And this is how we grow and evolve and experience our oneness. The emotions are a gift. They're truly a gift.
Well, they are. And, you know, I like to use the word emotion, energy in motion.
Yes.
And something you said early in the program I really resonate with. You said that your emotions are always giving you guidance. And so when something feels bad, the message is, this is not it. And whatever you're doing or however you're holding it or however you're thinking about it is not it. So if this is not it, what would be it? But unfortunately, when a lot of people have negative emotion, well, there's no such thing as a negative emotion, but a painful emotion. Right. They basically try to override it. So they take a pill, or they take a joint, or they numb themselves in front of TV, or they have unconscious sex, or they shop, or I mean, we have a long, long list. But if they would just face that emotion and say, okay, what is this? Why am I angry about this? Or what is this fear that's running me here? Wow, that emotion could then become their ally and rocket them in a whole new direction. They wouldn't have to eat or watch TV to escape their emotions. Right.
Well, beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And don't you think that that's a huge way that our intuition speaks to us and a higher power speaks to us through our emotions? That's how we can tell which way to go. You know, it's like, oh, what are you feeling? Well, if it feels good, that's telling us that's a good direction. If it's feeling bad, that's telling us that, you know, that doesn't support us as much.
Well, that's so simple that most people wouldn't believe it, but it's actually the most profound truth most people need. Yeah. Good feels good and bad feels bad. Any questions? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the truth is always simple, isn't it? I mean, isn't the truth simple?
Yeah, it's quite simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you mentioned
the truth is simple. Yes. If it were complicated, everyone would understand it.
That's good. That's good. Oh. I love that you mentioned guilt. I had a huge epiphany a few weeks ago, and I was at my friend's house and just started thinking about my son who's 12, and he's very, very different, and he's always been
for a time slot to do it. In other words, schedule it in, otherwise life will crowd in on you. And you will start to find that when you are happy and you feel self-nourished, two things happen. One is obviously you feel really good, and two, more and more good things come to you, and you start to realize that there's no God out there that's sitting waiting to punish you. It's just some story we made up. and that God or the universe delights in your joy even more than you do. And this is a path to be followed from the heart, from inside out, rather than trying to stuff yourself into some skinny little mold that somebody else made for you. And follow joy. And if you can do that, everything starts to shift.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Do you think that you can find joy in anything, though? So it's like, doing the dishes or the laundry or, mindless chores. Do you think that you can find joy in those things?
Yeah, but I wouldn't give that advice to most people because they'll just reinterpret, well, now I got to live a sucky life and find joy anyway.
That's true. That's true.
For most of the people I work with, I would tell them to consciously choose activities that you know will bring you joy. And if you have to wash the dishes or do the diapers or drive somebody around, if you just have to do that, then absolutely try to find joy in that because there's joy in the dishes. There's joy in changing your child's diapers. You love your child, right? There's joy in taking the kid to soccer. So, you can find it, but be careful not to fall into the old trap of just doing for everybody else. And then at the end of the day, you're exhausted because you haven't done anything for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love everything you said. Yes. And the reason that I asked about finding joy in everything, and I do agree that most people would take that the wrong way, I had a huge epiphany over the weekend. And suddenly I totally got, and I never got it like as deep as this. This is profound, that everything I do, everything everyone does matters. That literally everything matters. Like even like I pick up a glass now, and that matters. Everything I do, think, feel matters because we really are one. And so from this place, it just woke me up at a whole new level, and I started becoming more conscious. And so I was preparing my kids veggie burgers, and normally I would, do them together and just, want to make it and feed them. And once I got that everything matters, I became really conscious and really focused all my intention and love into exactly what I was doing. And that was joy. That was joy, just by being conscious, right?
Well, that's from that. It's like the movie City Slickers, when those guys those dudes were studying with the cowboy, and he kept raising his index finger, 111. He couldn't figure out what he meant. Finally, at the end of the movie, they realized that if he can do one thing at a time and pay full attention to it and be one with it, you become a spiritual master. And so whether it's dishes or veggie burgers or making love or going to work, if you can be fully present in it and not have your mind split by being elsewhere while you're trying to do something else, wow, you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to be really powerful.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I love the way you said that. That was awesome. That was awesome. Wow, Alan, it has been so much fun visiting with you today. Thank you so much. And how can our yes, please. I was going to ask you to share with our audience how they can get in touch with you and about your radio show and anything else that you would like to share. Yeah, please.
Sure. Well, everything I'm doing out in the world is on my website, alancohen.com, AlanCohen.com, and I have life coach training. I have a new radio show I'm excited about. It's on Hay House Radio every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Just look at hayhouseradio.com and you find out how to get on. I have wonderful guests. I'm having Ram Dass on in a couple of weeks. We just had singer Karen Drucker on. I do coaching over the air. So, and then my new book, which I mentioned, Linden's Last Life, Lindens Last Life. And they can go to lindenslastlife.com or look up the book on Amazon. There's a video trailer of the book, which I think they'll find fascinating. And if you feel called to come and do something for me, come on play. I'd love to see you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. And that Linden's Last Life is absolutely amazing. So well written and profound. So I totally recommend it. Totally. It's awesome. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Well, I enjoyed our conversation. The best interviews are more like conversations between friends, and I think this has really flowed really sweetly. So I really thank you for the work you've done on yourself and your contribution to the planet. It's just a pleasure to meet a like-minded soul.
Oh, thank you. And I hope to have further contact with you because you're extraordinary. And I always knew you were extraordinary. Now having this connection with you, it just reinforces what I've always felt about you. So thank you so much for sharing your energy and your time.
Pleasure. Be well.
Thank you. You too, my friend. You too. Thank you. Have a great day, night. Oh, that was an awesome interview. Oh, I so love Alan. Yes, and please visit his website again. It's Alan Cohen, AlanCohen.com. And visit me on my website as well, Nanice.com, Nanice.com, for a free book download, free song downloads, tons and tons of articles, and sign up for an inspirational daily quote that will absolutely change your life. And remember the pledge. Take the pledge and transform your life forever and help transform the world. So Nanice.com, Nanice.com, and until next week, have a beautiful, beautiful week. I wish all your miracles come true. I love you. Have a great week.
Thank you for having Chai with Nanice. Please go to www.nanice.com for great free stuff that will empower you to live your best possible life. Free books, articles, shows, meditation audios, and so much more at Nanice.com. That's Nanice.com. Nanice's books are also available in all major bookstores and Amazon. Check out The Infinite Power of You, Even Gandhi Got Hungry and Buddha Got Mad, Zest Point, Lip Prints, and many others by Nanice Ellis. To find out about one-on-one coaching and how Nanice can personally coach you to experience your best life possible, please email mybestlife@nanice.com.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at Nanice.com. That's Nanice.com. Thank you.